Hey Riz, how are you?
Good man.
Nice to talk again. I get to tell you
Too.
I was right because I got to be like, you're getting nominated for an Oscar. And yeah, like 1,000 people told you, but still, like pretend I was the one. Um,
Yeah. Tell me what else is in my future, man.
I know.
Yeah. What's
Money,
happening next year?
money, fame, and 10 minutes of bullshit with me. So, it's working all right.
This is
Um,
perfect.
it's got to be interesting. Like maybe Star Wars had more, but the last year you probably had to talk to more people than you've ever in your life.
Not
Just
true. Not
really.
true because pandemic, lockdown, hermit lifestyle.
Yeah.
So balanced out.
I mean, on here, you probably had to talk to more people.
Yeah, more
But
zooming than but
yeah,
everyone's had more zooms in the last year than they've ever had in their life because Zoom didn't really exist.
when you think about what you want to do, we were talking about how you have a very specific sort of mind frame, and it's easy to maybe pick a thing that someone else doesn't want to do or not do a thing that everyone wants to do. Like, how do you make sure that what you're choosing to do, speaks to you here as opposed to just here? Because that's easy. Everyone can pick a well-paying role when you have a name, but how do you pick a thing that you want to talk about? Because you have to want to do this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm stupid, but the money is never really quite a factor in it. And maybe it's because, I know this was like the non-money option because I went to Oxford and everyone there like goes into like banking and becomes corporate lawyers and all this. And I was like, so I was kind of not signing up for that. This wasn't a play for that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's always a kind of a bonus. And also, like films are relatively well paid. So
Yeah.
you can survive, you can provide for your family and stuff, and still make choices that are creatively interesting. So if I can like find that sweet spot, then that's okay.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, listen, I went to a science school and I was a cinema major, so I saw everyone else being like, "Oh, you're going to be able to pay rent. Great. I like spaghetti, so I'll be fine."
But
Um,
in terms of making those choices, I think it's just look, I think the work is just generally not as good if you don't want to be there.
oh yeah,
If you're not motivated, excited, and curious about it, if you're not pushing yourself out your comfort zone, trying something new, then something might be complacent or stale or like dead behind the eyes. So I think that you can't fake that. The camera sees everything. And I don't think the camera just sees what you're doing with the character. The camera sees all the stuff that you don't want it to see either. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
if you don't want to be there on some level, that you can't hide that.
Oh yeah, and you can tell in it with this, it's you have to want to be there. The movie is asking so much of you specifically, but just to get into that mind frame. Yeah, if you're someone who's, I'm going to go shoot in Bulgaria for 2 weeks, but you're only going to see the front of my head because I'm not going to do anything from behind. Yeah, at a certain point, people will realize that like, oh, you're going through the motions. It's like a bad date. Like at a certain point, the other person doesn't want to be there. But like, what about this specifically made it that you wanted to be there? Because, like you said, it's a choice.
Yeah, I mean, it was more than a choice. It wasn't offered to me. I chased it down.
Hmm.
I called Michael, I emailed, texted him. I'd never met him. I was just stalking him on, got friends to call him, met up with him. He wanted me, it was him that made me want to be in it,
Yeah.
because Beast is an amazing film. Couldn't believe it's his first film, and he walks this amazing line between genre and character portrait, and
Totally.
that's quite a hard thing to pull off. Like to find something that has that emotional depth, but still has the thrills and spills and the mystery and the twists and turns. He can do that. That's what he's interested in doing. I think that's amazing. He reminds me of like a young like Christopher Nolan or something. The way he pulls that off. So I really wanted to work with him. I loved the script. The role was something I had never played before. I hadn't played a dad. I hadn't played a US soldier. There were things that I wouldn't imagine myself into immediately. So I thought, okay, probably a good sign to try and push yourself out of your own assumptions.
Oh yeah. And I mean, even when you think about just getting it, the fact that there are people who watch it and will have that reaction of, oh, you never see someone like Riz get to play those roles, and that little extra that's going in someone's head, I think builds up the movie also because it's a compelling character, but you also get to be like, I've never seen that before. And that's rare, especially when you watch a lot of movies, you get that feeling of like, okay, here's the 7 people who play a soldier. Here's the 12 people who play a dad. Here's the 10 people in sci-fi. Like you start to have that like revolving door. And and
Yeah.
you get to sort of like crash that down and go, no, anyone can play it. Just be a good actor.
Mm. Yeah. I'm trying to be one of the 12 people who play a soldier dad in a sci-fi movie.
I mean, listen, there's a good gig
That's
there.
what this is a play for. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, I have franchise aspirations for the indie movie. Yeah, no, listen, if you can, if you can break down those barriers, also, it just means that there's other people who are going to get to play those roles. And like
Yeah.
you said, you had to chase for it, and like it's the type of role that they should be coming to you for. So I think there should be a
Yeah.
satisfaction there.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't think there's anything. I mean, to be fair, I think it's probably my own preconceptions as well. Where I was like, should I play this role? Can I? Is that believable? And then you're like, well, then challenge yourself, challenge other people to do that. But you know, it's we're all swimming in the same water. We all kind of soak up this that same implicit messaging of this kind of person is this kind of thing, that kind of person is that kind of thing. So you know, I feel lucky. That's my job, is to try and actively identify and break that down.
Oh
That's
yeah,
kind of what my job is.
oh, yeah. Like who else has a more clear cut opportunity to do something unlike yourself than an actor? Like you make pretend for a living, so why limit what you can pretend? Like you're only limited by your imagination, the filmmaker, and who's willing to pay for it. Like all three are on board. You
That's
literally can do.
great. I should get that as a tattoo somewhere. That was really good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of them is a lot harder than the other two, but you know, if you can, especially now we're at an era where like if you can dream it up and there's a bill to be paid, like you can achieve it. Like whether it's digitally or just time, like there's a lot of opportunity, and I think especially for someone like you who really does like sink his teeth into a role, having something like this to play is it. Even if you didn't, even someone doesn't respond to the movie, I think has to go. It's a joy to watch him get to just be in it.
Mm. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like there's something, I don't know, there's something just kind of magical and maddening about like this thing that we do, you know, because you're right. Like we're only limited as far as our imagination on one hand, but also within the strictures of this incredibly like high stakes investment game, you know, in
Yeah,
this casino of like the industry, and how that kind of ties you into this and that. So if you can find those loopholes where, you know, like this film, which is an anomaly, which is got depth but also got genre, it's a new filmmaker, but it's got scale, then yeah, take that.
exactly, and especially as you like start to do more behind the camera type things, whether it's writing or if you know directing, if you can thread that needle, you get that whole like, oh, you're willing to pay for this? Oh, well, now I can have some fun because you're handling that era, and now I can just be creative and I don't have to hustle for it. There's magic there.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, it's a gift and a curse. Like taking on more of the behind the scenes stuff is really exciting and fulfilling. It's also just a lot more stuff to do, you know. So I don't know. I feel like uh, one of the things that I'm interested in right now is, you know, really as I build out my company, and so proud to be associated in a small way with Flea, and also with the Long Goodbye and Neil's film, the short. It's like there is a different satisfaction that comes from having that behind the scenes collaboration. But that's not always through being a producer or a writer. Sometimes you just work with a great filmmaker like Michael, and you work with someone like that, and that feels like a really fulfilling collaboration. He's just got such a specific idea of what he wants, but he's always so open to like just let the best idea win, and usually the best ideas are his. You know, he's that guy.
Totally. And I mean, I think, last year into this year and going forward, like stuff you just mentioned, the things people know you for, the things that are still to come, like there's reason to be super excited. And I think of all the people you could put more on the plate of, no pressure, but I think you got this. Like
Oh, thanks, bud.
there's
Appreciate it,
something
man.
there.
Thank you.
No, of course. No, I look forward to the next one when we get to talk about how like you produced it, wrote it, directed, acted in it, and catered or whatever the hell, because you're gonna do more than you need to, but it's gonna work.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Yeah,
Of course.
I should never cater for a film though, ever.
No, no,
It's really
we'll take you out
bad.
to
Yeah, I couldn't even do
we'll
the pandemic banana bread. I couldn't even get that right, man. So yeah.
Oh, well, luckily you got an Oscar nomination instead. It worked out. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.